Okay, so let's get started. Okay, we'll not waste
Uncle.
more time. Yeah, we'll try to finish in 20, 25 minutes. Yep. So welcome back after a gap of a couple of weeks. Uh, Fun with Heroes. Okay, so this week, as always, we'll be covering uh, four heroes. Okay, and this is episode 19, right? We are in the episode 19. We started from the month of September. So we got to know about a lot of heroes. Now let's see who are the heroes for this week. Okay. At any point in time, you can ask me question. If you are not able to hear, I am not clear, just let me know. Okay. Yeah. So so the four heroes we have this week are okay. These are the photos. Okay. So anyone identifies anyone? Okay. They are not very well known. Okay. But do you know any name out of this? Okay, anything? So yeah, there is one from okay army background. Yes, there is a
Amrit
lady
Kaur.
who Aditi.
Amrit Kaur.
No, you have to speak a little louder because okay, I yeah,
Uncle Amrit Kaur.
Amrit. Oh, okay, Kumari Ambedkar. Okay, that's a good answer. Yes, she's Amrit Kaur, right? And then we have two scientists actually, and they have done amazing work in different fields. We'll come to know about them. Okay, so let's see who are these. Okay, four amazing people. So that's a good answer. So first is we have Raja Ramanna, Dr. Raja Ramanna. Now, the story is that Dr. Raja Ramanna was born in Tumkur town in Karnataka on 28th January 1925. And he received his BSc degree in physics from Madras Christian College. He went to Madras and studied there. Then he moved to London and completed his PhD from the King's College in 1948. Okay. And by that time India became independent, right? So India was exploring ways to make scientific progress. And as we talked earlier, okay, so you might be knowing like about Vikram Sarabhai and Dr. Homi Bhabha. So they were doing a lot of scientific research, especially in nuclear physics, right? Establishing the nuclear reactors on this thing. So Ramanna was deeply influenced by Homi Bhabha, and he wrote to him. Actually, he wrote a letter to Dr. Homi Bhabha. Homi Bhabha invited him to come back to India and join Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, the TIFR, which is still there. The institute is still there. So he joined there. So he came back to India and he joined there. Now, Dr. Ramanna made important contributions in several areas of neutron, nuclear, and research, reactor physics. So he like Homi Bhabha, he was also a physicist who was expert in nuclear physics, basically. So he made important contributions here. And India's first nuclear reactor, which is called Apsara, okay, he was the key designer for that. Okay, it was designed under his guidance, under Dr. Raja Raman's guidance. So that was his one of the major contribution. He also played a leading role in organizing physics and physics program at the Bhabha Atomic Research Center, which was a Trombay center that time. Now it is known as a BARC, Bhabha Atomic Research Center. So he designed those programs there, okay, for the nuclear reactor physics programs. And once after the death of Dr. Homi Bhabha, who died in a plane crash, so Dr. Raja Ramanna became the director of BRC and led the India's nuclear program after Bhabha. And in 1974, under Indira Gandhi government, India did its first nuclear test, okay, in Pokhran. Okay. And that was called Smiling Buddha. The name of that nuclear test was codenamed Smiling Buddha, and that was done under the supervision of Dr. Ramanna. Okay, so he was the
Please explain again.
yeah. So India did its first nuclear test. Okay, you must have seen about the photos of the nuclear test, right? That mushroom cloud. Uh,
Nuclear bomb.
yes, nuclear bomb testing of nuclear bomb. Okay, So India, the nuclear test is not a nuclear bomb, but it's a limited or controlled explosion to verify the nuclear capabilities. Okay, so India did that first time in 1974, which was codenamed Smiling Buddha, and that was done under the supervision of Dr. Raja Ramanna. The second time India did it in 1998 under Atal Bihari Vajpayee government. That was done by Dr. APJ Kalam, right? So. The first one was under the supervision of Dr. Raja Ramanna. So that was his again the major contribution, because that made India a nuclear power state. Okay, and Raja Ramanna was an able administrator, and apart from the research thing, he occupied many prestigious positions. Okay, he served as a chairman of the Indian Atomic Energy Commission, also worked with the Defense Ministry. Okay, he also headed DRDO, which is a defense organization supplying the researching the arms. So he worked as a director general of the DRDO, and he was also nominated to Rajya Sabha, the parliament, between August 97 to 2003 under the Vajpayee government. And Dr. Rajanama also served as a Union Minister of Defense, the state for the state in the VP Singh government in 1990. And he received a lot of prizes for his immense contribution, the Satyasur Bhatnagar Prize, and also awarded Padma Vibhushan, which is the second highest civilian honor in 1975. So that is the amazing contribution of Dr. Raja Ramanna. He is in the league of, basically we can say, Homi Bhabha, Vikram Sarabhai, and APJ Abdul Kalam, and Satish Dhawan. Those, okay, he is also similar to them, who contributed okay, immensely for the India's nuclear program. Yeah. So that's the story of Dr. Raja Ramanna. And these are the sites, right? This is the site of a nuclear test in Pokhran. That was for 1974. Okay, this is after the explosion had taken place. And this is the Baba Atomic Research Center, which is still there in Mumbai. Okay, it's a very prestigious organization. A lot of scientists work there. So this is a very old photo of that Tombe Center. The next story we have is of Major Somnath Sharma. Okay. And what is, I'll tell you the amazing part about Major Somnath Sharma and why he should be remembered is that, okay, till date, 21 people have received Paramveer Chakra, which is India's highest military honor. Okay. And Major Somnath Sharma was the first one. Okay. He was the first recipient of Paramveer Chakra. So now what is his story?
Uncle, is Paramveer Chakra given posthumously?
Not necessarily. Okay. So out of 21, okay, Paramveer Chakra is given for the outstanding military work, basically outstanding work during the, at the time during the war. Okay, so it is given for the, it's the highest honor. Okay, so it is given for it, not necessarily for the posthumously. Yes, out of 21, only 3 people are rather the 3 are alive today, but not many actually, or not more than 5 have received as a okay in their lifetime. Most of them actually died during the battle. Yes, but it is not the compulsory that it is always given to given posthumously. Okay. So earlier we talked about Bana Singh, right? So Bana Singh is still alive. Okay, he got a Paramveer Chakra in 1987, and he's still alive. Yeah. So now we come back to the Major Somnath Sharma story. So Major Somnath Sharma was born on 31st January 1923 at a Dal village in the Kangra district of Himachal Pradesh. He came from a family of military officers. So there were other military officers in his family. So he naturally inclined to become an officer. And after doing the schooling from Sherwood College in Nainital, he joined the Royal Military Academy. At that time, of course, it was a British Indian Army. Okay, so he was commissioned into the 8th Battalion of 19th Hyderabad Regiment. Okay, on 22nd February 1942. At the time, the World War II was going on, and this battalion later became the 4th Kumaon Regiment after the partition of India and the independence of India. This became the 4th Kumaon Regiment. Now Major Sharma fought during the World War II as well, and in the Arakan under British Indian Army. So in the South Asia he was deployed and he fought there. Now his greatest glory came during the war with Pakistan. The first war with Pakistan in 1947 to 48, immediately after the independence. So the uh, the Pathans and Pakistani army had occupied a parts of Kashmir at that time. So Major Sharma's company was airlifted to Srinagar.
Okay.
Yeah, right now it is the FP. Okay, so they started attacking. Okay, and at that time the Kashmir was not fully integrated into India that time. Okay, so on 31st October 1947, the Major Sharma's company, which was the Kumaon regiment, was airlifted to Srinagar, and he had actually
Gumab Regiment.
Kumaon regiment. It is mentioned here, right? 4th Kumaon regiment. Okay, Kumaon is a region of the Himachal Pradesh. Okay, so it is named after that. So but he had a broken hand actually. He was promoted to the major rank, but he had a broken hand. So he was asked not to go to the battlefield, but he insisted in going to the battle. Okay, his left hand was broken actually. It was in plaster, but he wanted to be a part of the mission. Now there were reports that Pakistan forces might attack Badgaum. The Badgaum was a village near to Srinagar. Okay, so they might attack Badgaum from the direction of Gulmarg to cut off the Srinagar airport. Okay, so his company, the D company of Fort Kumaon, were deployed in the Badgaum. So they were tasked to secure Badgaum. Now, in the afternoon of 3rd November 1947, okay, so the story is that they were planning to move back. Okay, the company of Major Somnath Sharma, they were given orders to come back, and another company was supposed to take over. Okay, so that task was finished. They were supposed to come back, and another company will come by the evening, and it will take over the security arrangement at the Badgaum. But at that time, while the movement was going on, more than 700 Pathan riders, okay, and they were mixed with the local population, so they couldn't distinguish them. They launched an attack on the Indian army from 3 sides. So they were taken. Indian army was taken by surprise because they were planning to pack up their luggage and everything. And at that time, they were attacked from 3 sides. So they came under heavy fire and uh, uh, um, uh, bombardment from different 3 sides. Basically, they were surrounded, and they were massively outnumbered. The unit was very small, while they were attacked by 700 uh, uh, enemy soldiers. But Major Somnath Sharma knew that it is important to hold the position because otherwise it will risk Srinagar. Okay, if the Badgaon is gone, Srinagar will be difficult to maintain. So he encouraged his team to keep on fighting, even though his left hand was broken. He himself took a task of filling the magazines. He secured the bunkers, and he himself transferred the magazines. Magazines are those cartouches, right? The unit of the packets of bullets. He transferred from one bunker to another bunker, giving them orders, directing their firing, and hold on to the post till for 5 years they can defended the attack. Okay, and refused to go back even when the ammunition started running out. Okay, and while he was busy fighting, okay, there was a one mortar shell, a bomb exploded near him, and which he ultimately died. Okay, but because of this brave work, okay, because of the kind of work he did, okay, they were able to withstand the attack for 5 years. So this delayed the progress of the enemy. Okay, and that gave time to Indian army to send more reinforcements. So by the time the relief came to Badgaon, the post was already lost, but the damage caused by Major Sharma's unit halted the enemy soldiers. So Indian army recaptured Badgaon, okay, after that. And because of the pivotal role, he was. It is said that because of Major Somnath Sharma, Srinagar was saved. Okay, otherwise Srinagar would have been lost by that time. Okay, so that was his glory, and he was only 25 years old that time.
So he received Paramveer Chakra posthumously.
Yes, he died in the battle. Okay, on that day, on 3rd November, he died actually. So he was given the Paramveer Chakra posthumously, and he was the first one to receive that. Yeah, yeah. So that's the story of Major Somnath Sharma. The next story we have is of Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, as Aditi rightly mentioned. Now, who was she? So, Amrit Kaur was born on 2nd February 1889 in Lucknow, and she belonged to a Kapurthala royal family. She belonged to a royal family of Kapurthala, and she was raised as a Christian, and she graduated. She went to London. She graduated from Oxford University, and in 1918 she returned to India after completing her education. And despite her royal background, she was inspired by the freedom movement that was going on that time. So she met Mahatma Gandhi in 1918, and uh, she jumped into the freedom movement. Uh, by 1930, she was fully involved, and she even took part in the Dandi March, and she was arrested for that. Yeah, and she gave up the royal luxuries and everything. She started living a simple lifestyle. She was also a social reformer. Okay, she was a champion of women's rights. She co-founded All India Women's Conference and then Indian Council for Child Welfare, and a lot of things she worked on, like opposing the child marriage and campaigning against the Devdasi system and all those things. She worked as a social reformer, and started. She also began living at the Gandhi Ashram from 1934 and became the Mahatma Gandhi's secretary for 16 years. She was now when the Constituent Assembly was formed. Okay, the assembly that was tasked to create the India's constitution. She was one of the few women member of that assembly. Okay, and she was the member of the Fundamental Rights and Subcommittee on Minorities, and she was supporter of the equal rights for men and women and the inclusion of uniform civil code, all these things. In the Constitution of India also she made her contributions. Now, when India formed its first cabinet after independence, okay, 1947, when Jawaharlal Nehru became the first prime minister, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur became the India's first health minister, and she was the first woman minister of independent India. Okay, and as a health minister, she led India's delegation to WHO, World Health Organization, many times. And one of the key things she did was the establishment of AIMS, which is All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Okay. AIMS is till today it's the premium most medical institute in India, and she was the one who laid the foundation of AIMS. It initially started in Delhi, and then now we have AIMS in most of the states. Okay, so in 1956, AIMS was started. She was also the first president of AIMS and was president of AIMS till her death. She was also founder of the Indian Council of Child Welfare, and as a health minister, she also led campaigns against malaria and TB, which is tuberculosis. A BCG vaccination program, which is a huge program. Okay, before polio, we also had a BCG vaccination program, which is still going on. Okay, for every child. BCG is for the prevention of TB, tuberculosis. So she, led that program of vaccination, and she was also the chairperson of the Indian Red Cross Society. So a lot of things she did as a health minister of India. So that's the story of Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. And the final story we have is another scientist we have is a T.R. Seshadri, or Thiru Venkata Rajendra Seshadri, as his full name. He was born in Kulithalai, a small town near Trichy, okay, in the Madras Presidency, okay, which is right now Tamil Nadu. Now Seshadri went to Madras, okay, because that was a big town nearby, and do the BSc in chemistry from the Presidency College there. And then he also did the masters, winning multiple prizes while working on the chemical synthesis. So he did all his research in chemistry. Okay. And in 1927, he received a scholarship and went to England to do research under Professor Robert Robinson. He did, as a researcher, he did a pioneer work on new anti-malarial drugs. Okay. During his PhD, he developed drugs for the prevention of malaria. Okay, and for this, he was awarded PhD in 1929, and he then worked with other Nobel Prize winner scientist. Okay, for some time there in the Europe. He went to Austria, and then he came back to India in 1930 and joined the Andhra University and established a world-class department of chemical technology and pharmaceutical chemistry. Now in India, T.R. Seshadri apart from his research in chemistry, what he is known for is the establishing premium research institute in the field of chemistry in different parts of the country. Okay, under Andhra University, he established a chemical technology department. Then, after the independence, he was invited to head the Delhi Department of Chemistry under Delhi University in Delhi. So there was a Delhi University Vice Chancellor, Sir Maurice Goyer. Okay, he invited Dr. Seshadri to come back to Delhi, and within a short time, Seshadri established a research school in Delhi, which became a world-renowned research school in the field of chemistry. Okay, he also set up a lot of chemical laboratories across India, yeah, and which are considered one of the best laboratories in India. So that is also one of the significant contribution he made. And he himself had a particular attraction for the variety and range of floral and animal coloration. In the field of chemistry also there are different areas, right? So he also had a special research preference on the chemicals that is obtained from the flowers. Okay, and do some research on that. And as I mentioned, he not only developed different research institutes, he guided a different scientists. So more than 160 PhD students he guided, and he has published more than 1,000 papers. And the students of T.R. Seshadri have occupied important positions across the world. Okay, not only in India. So that is also his significant contribution as a teacher. Okay, and he himself headed several expert committees on education, health, science, agriculture, defense. Because in the independent India, new India, it was needed to have an experts on this field, right? And he was one of the person to provide the expert guidance. And he was elected as a fellow of the Royal Society in 1961 and honored with the Padma Bhushan in 1963. Okay, and in 1965, at the time of his retirement, he donated his entire library, okay, and he had a huge collection of chemistry books to Delhi University's Department of Chemistry. So that's the story of T.R. Seshadri, okay, who made an amazing contribution in the field of chemistry in the independent India. So those are the 4 stories we have. So I hope you enjoyed. So now you at least know the names, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So first we have Major Somnath Sharma. Okay, the first Paramveer Chakra. Then we have Rajkumari Amritkar, the first Health Minister of India, and Dr. Raja Ramanna, who guided the nuclear test of India, first nuclear test of India, and Dr. T.R. Seshadri, who set up the amazing world-class chemical laboratories in India. Okay. So these okay, we came to know about these 4 amazing personalities today. Now for the quiz, okay, I shared a quiz earlier. Okay, so I hope I knew some of you must have done those. If not, you try it this time. I'll share that link here. Okay, because okay, this is an amazing fun quiz. There are like I think 15 questions, and try this out. You can try it right now, or we can later on. So right now I am traveling, so probably once I'm back to Pune, we'll have the Kahoot quiz as well, right? Online quiz. I think you enjoyed. So we'll have that thing as well next, probably in the month of April. So, so I hope you enjoyed this. Okay, let me share the quiz link. Okay, I'll put it in the WhatsApp as well, and so try this out. It is okay if you don't know all answers. Even if you don't know one answer, that is fine, because this is just for fun, and you will anyway at the end of the quiz you will get to know the answers, and that way you will know something. Okay, this is not for competition. This is for the knowledge. Okay. So now we still have some time. So any question you have? Anyone wants to ask anything? Want to share anything? Any feedback? Did you enjoy the stories or not?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay. Great.
Yes, uncle, I did.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, don't worry if you don't remember. Okay, after some days, that is fine. Okay, this is not we are doing for exam, but this is for the knowledge. Okay, so consider this as a book reading kind of thing. Okay, so we'll discuss these names at least in a okay few months. We'll come to know about 4 5 names at least, and then you can tell these stories to your friends, okay, or your parents, or your okay, other family members. You tell them the stories, whatever you remember, okay, should be fine. And that is how you will able to remember these names. Okay, so thank
So
you.
look,
Yeah,
end
thank
today's session.
okay, thank you. Yeah,
Please
I'll be
end the today's session.
yeah, I'll upload, try to upload the today's session on YouTube like always. Like it depends on my internet speed, but I'll do that. Okay. So I'll also keep you
Yes, sir.
posted on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So bye bye. Take care. Okay, and enjoy.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.